Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings to the whole house, to the book people. Everybody on the earth knows who the book people are. And it's not the 1948s. It's not those people that occupy that land over there. It's not the Balfour Declarants, nor is it those that the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Trumps, the Bushes, the Obamas, the John F. Kennedys, the Ronald Reagans, may he rest in hell, the Jimmy Carters support and uphold. The book people are those who went through transatlantics and were here, went through the destruction here. And that is the kingdom of the Israelites. So I want to say a shalom to you, family. Shalom to everyone today. Hope you're having a blessed and wonderful day, and hope the Father is keeping you this hour. Now, this hour is the hour that our ancestors wrote about, and they talked about, and they argued about. Reason being is because they wanted to be here during this hour to see us return to our rightful place. So I'm going to greet my sister, Sister Wise Society. How you doing, sis? Shalom to you.
Peace and blessings from the hottest desert ever. I'll say in California, right? Because I mean, someone else somewhere else may be hotter. But yeah, I'm doing okay. Just trying to avoid the crazies. I tell you one thing, entities come out in the heat. They are like moths to a light, right? Yep. And their behavior is one that is unpredictable. Some people call them NPCs. I call them demonically inspired. And so you have to be careful when we have all of this heat across the U.S., but particular places, because if you notice, behavior changes. I mean, there's plenty of documented situations where you see heat creates more aggression, and it's just people are just liable to do anything. But peace and blessings to everyone that is watching. Share this out. We're here again, the Descendants weekly live, and just grateful to be here.
I done jiggled my own wire as usual, had myself on mute and forgot I was on mute. So at any rate, I appreciate that, sis. So you being you got to ask a question, and shalom, sis. Bithia Yashara, shalom. Sis, you in the Bay Area?
It's cooler there.
Oh, stomping grounds. I'll leave it at that. Oh, stomping grounds.
Yes.
The Yay area.
Hey.
Indeed. Let me see. Sister asks, are you in Death Valley? Well, I tell you what.
No, I am in Coachella Valley. So it's the desert that has Palm Springs, Indio, Indian Wells, Rancho Mirage, Palm Desert. That's the desert that I'm in right before you get to the Salton Sea. So I hear you asking if I'm in Death Valley. Nope. And we do have some of the hottest weather here in the Coachella Valley. The day before yesterday, it was 118 degrees, and that's not even the highest, right? So I've observed behavior during those times, and I'm just saying, y'all be careful out there. New Orleans in the house. Hey, New Orleans.
Mark B, how you doing, brother? It's been a long time. Been a long time seeing you. Hope you're doing well. I know the Father's been keeping you. And I'll say this like I always say. I don't care where my people are in the continental United States of America. I view all of my people that are in this continental United States of America as my people, as my brothers, and as my sisters. So let me tell you, and y'all know how I get down. You could be from New Orleans, you could be from Mississippi, Alabama, Alaska, New Mexico, California, New York, Philly, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Oregon, Washington, Arkansas, Georgia, can't forget them. Can't forget Texas because they'd be mad at me. Illinois, all over the whole continent of the United States. If you FBA foundational and you the Israelite book people, you my brothers and sisters, and I will always look at you that way. Point blank. Period. So it's good seeing you, brother. Point blank.
Absolutely.
You say that he bring out the monsters. Hey,
Yes.
listen. The monsters will but you'll see them even more so this hour. This is a special hour. The luminaries above testify and have a line for this particular time. And they got everybody jumping their stupid ass out the window. I
Mm.
don't, even if you friend or foe, you will find yourself doing some of the most ridiculous things. Then you have to check and stop yourself. Hey, I'm a book person. I don't need to be indulging in that because these wicked demons trying to draw you out. Point blank period.
Right.
They're trying to draw you out.
Right.
So what you have to do is you have to maintain number one who you are in the Father. Maintain that. And how do you maintain? Well, there's only one way on this earth that you can maintain your real relationship with the Father, and that's doing what He said. And what did He say? Here are my law, statutes, and commandments. Point blank. You keep them to the best of your abilities, and you reverence me by keeping them to the best of your abilities. And quit making excuses. Quit making excuses because you see Creflo Dollar eating a pork and shrimp sandwich.
Mm.
Oh boy, that don't give you an excuse to do one. You hear me? It's time out for playing. It's time out for doing what the Father wants us to do. So we're gonna jump right into it, sis.
I got some
You
simple
got
wisdom
me.
for the people that are watching other folks do the silliest stuff known to man. And I call it foolishness. And foolishness is in direct opposition, and the word opposition I'm using on purpose, to wisdom. I want y'all
Bring
to
it out.
understand that
Bring it
foolishness
out.
is in direct opposition to wisdom. Unfortunately, foolishness is so dangerous that it gets you killed.
Hmm.
And wherever there is death, there is destruction.
Hmm.
So my simple wisdom with regards to some of the things that we need to do is, if anyone is ignorant, let them be ignorant. 1 Corinthians 14:38. And I'm not saying that without the attempt of trying to grant knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and gain more of it. But there are some people that are in direct opposition to wisdom.
Hmm. Can I
And
say
that's
this?
what,
Can I add to that?
yeah,
And
absolutely.
they appear to be Israelites, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. There's nothing, if the Father can't, his ruach can't even reach him, how are you gonna reach him? And I'm not
Hmm.
saying that we're supposed to give up on our brothers and sisters. There's a way to have healthy boundaries and not over work yourself, your mind, your heart, your spirit, trying to get someone to see. And some of you guys, this might apply to your family. Some of you guys, this may even apply to your children, your
Hmm.
adult children.
Hmm.
Okay. Right? Because he did not come to bring peace, he came to bring a sword.
That's book. That's what the
All
book say.
right. And
That's what the book
so
say.
when I just need a simple, take a deep breath, um, and just let the foolish remain foolish if that's what they want to do, because I don't control their behavior. I control my behavior, my responses, my actions, my talent. What am I going to do with my time? Am I going to redeem the days? Am I going to redeem things that I can within my grasp, and allow the Father to expand that and increase that however he chooses? Or I'm going to watch what other people are doing, and a lot of it is foolishness, right? So again, I say the simple wisdom that I have to grant is, if anyone is ignorant, it's that time that say, let them be ignorant.
That's a perfect segue. Hey, sis, I'm gonna diverge from a little bit before we get into
Mm-hmm.
the other line item that you want me to get into. Is it okay if I get into that that comment section on this one video that I had somebody
Absolutely.
respond to me and I responded back to them? And I'm going to just share my
Absolutely.
screen. Yeah, because this is a prime example of foolishness in action. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen now. Mind you, that I've been jumping in the comment sections on all videos that interest me. Now, this isn't the video that was playing. This is
I
just
can
a
already
video
tell
that I was
by
playing.
oh, okay, I was gonna say I can already tell by appearances where it's about to be.
Well, no, this is it was for this video right here. It's in my comment section for this
Okay.
video right here. And so the video was is Argentina the most racist country in the world?
Oh boy.
Okay. And here's my comment was, 3 nations voted against the march, a typo as usual, Brother Cleo, 2926, UN resolution on slavery, United States, Israel, and Argentina. So that was my response to that. Now, this person comes behind me and says, and all Europe abstained from voting because they didn't want to show that they voted against, that they voted against. You don't even really know what the vote was really for. Now, how many shows have we done on the UN reparations
I would
resolution?
say at
8,
least
9.
10,
Okay.
because we
Okay.
started with the one just bringing the information forward, and then we started the weekly lives.
Okay. So
So yeah.
I responded, and you can see the responses here. And I don't have to read the response, but this is an example of someone jumping their silly ass out the window and not even knowing who or what they're talking to. But these days in the comment section, I don't care what the video is about. If it's something that interests me, I'm gonna light your ass up. I don't care if it's Fox News. I don't care if it's the fuse, the fake Jew talking about what they talking about. I don't care. Matter of fact, I'll be on the pro-Iranian sites asking them, hey, when is y'all gonna return to bombing Israel, the one who started this misadventure? When are y'all gonna return back to doing that righteous act? So let's get off of that and let's get on to the real McCoy. So I'm gonna go with the you want me to go with the image and we start from there, or you want to go with the website? You tell me, sis.
I want to go with the website. I want to go jump right into that website because I want the people to understand exactly what we're talking about when we say these formal documents that are being applied at the UN, whether it be the framework, which we're going to be talking about next, or those requests to have working groups, right?
Okay.
I want you guys to visually see what that looks like. Okay, so you can go to this page on your own. It's not a secret unless you don't know about it, right? And then I would say it's just a lack of knowledge. But remember, we can perish from a lack of knowledge, right? And the work that we do is generational. You guys have to understand that. It's not just for me. It's not just for Brother C. It's not just for even you guys watching in the chat. This is a generationally lasting work that we do, right? We have to think about our children's children and what will they have to fight for, and is it going to be harder? I think about those things. Are they inheriting the worst fight of their lives, right? And so I want you guys to see that this can be found at the United Nations website. You can type in ohchr.org and put into the search working group of experts on people of African descent. So that is the legal framing that they're going to continue to go with. Now, you see this picture right here, and they have their fists up in the air. We know that that's a part of Black American culture, is it not? Right?
Yeah, he
So
also looks like a Black American or African American or FBA.
So, a descendant of chattel slavery, U.S. descendant of chattel slavery. So we see, some of the things that they made apparent, and I want you to see how the whole entire thing is framed to be welcoming, to make you think it's about you, right? You have this image, you recognize it. I mean, he has tattoos on his arm. We can clearly probably assume, and I'm not saying that tattoos are an indicator, but sometimes they are. They are an identifier, right? His fist is up in the air, got Nike, the baby got Nikes. So that's what they believe is going to appeal to our senses to look further and feel welcomed and accepted. But this is the same working group that had been meeting without our evidence, testimony, ability to represent ourselves, and making the decisions with regards to how the resolution for reparations was going to look, which was carried by the Ghanaian president. Okay. So if you go down, I will show you all what's currently taking place. Okay. But before I do that, I want to show you about the mandate. And if you've never seen this before, now you know today. Share it with somebody, because there's not a lot of people that are sharing this information, taking you directly to where you can find the living documents, right? And where you can also see what's on their calendar, right? Their statements. Who is doing what? When, where, and how. Okay. So if you could zoom in a little bit, Brother C, because I got my grandma eyes on today. I apologize about that. I have my glasses on, but okay, there we go. All right. So here is about the mandate. The World Conference Against Racism, Racial Discrimination, Xenophobia, and Related Intolerance, held in Durban in 2001. Did you guys learn about this since 2001? Adopted the Durban Declaration and Program of Action. It specifically requested the Commission on Human Rights to consider establishing a working group or other mechanism of the United Nations to study the problems of racial discrimination faced by the people of African descent living in the African diaspora. The diaspora means the dispersed. Okay, just in case you didn't know. And make proposals for the elimination of racial discrimination against people of African descent. Now, I have to ask the question, if you knew about this work being done, this commission, this working group, this website, put a 1 in the chat. I want to know.
What if I did? Can I put a 0?
If you didn't, I don't want nobody. I just want you to just accept that you didn't know about it, but you know today, right? If you did, I want you to put a 1 in the chat. Greetings. Okay. Now, you see the latest news on the right-hand side. It's not hard to find, right? Latest statements, latest news. But I want you to see who the working group of experts that is supposed to be studying the problems of racial discrimination faced by the African diaspora is what they're going to say, right? And can you go down just a little bit, because there's a lot of resolutions that I don't want people to miss. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry about that, since I went.
That's okay. We can navigate this. We can take some time to navigate this. I need to go back.
I do want to go back to that, though. You want me to go back?
Yeah. Okay. So, like, here is where it says, and this is the section with all the blue RES, right? That's a resolution. Human Rights Commission. So you're going to see, anytime you see statutory, statutes, even if it's the U.S. code, you're going to see a section, a code abbreviation, and a number. Okay. That's what I mean by when I say codified. It means that it's organized, compiled, and written in a way where those who understand code law can find it. The average day-to-day person is not going to be able to look at the code abbreviation and tell what it means. That's why I'm telling you what it means, right? So when you see that HRC, that's the Human Rights Commission, okay? Commission on Human Rights, okay? You're going to see that. Or the Human Rights Council, okay? You see that. RES means resolution, okay? And so the Working Group of Experts on People of African Descent was established in 2002 by Commission on Human Rights Resolution 2002-68 as a special procedure. The mandate was subsequently renewed by the Commission on Human Rights and the Human Rights Council in its resolutions. Now they're going to give you the resolution numbers. All right. And every single one of those is blue because you can click on it and read through every single one of them. You see, this one is Resolution 914, the Human Rights Council, right? And they're going to bring up other, statutes. I got to say it like this because I want to say that human rights are written and compiled in a way that make you believe that they're enforceable. So I want you to know that they're not.
But they're given from the Father, though.
Right.
That's
But
what
they're the laws that are not
acknowledge.
enforceable, while the other laws that are pretty much, questionable or not. That's the corruption, right? That's the corruption. Everybody's born free, they should die free. Nobody should own another person to
Yes.
exploit, abuse,
Yes.
traffic, enslave, even make them their friend. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't care what the situation is. The freedom comes with knowing that you were born free, you should die free. Naked I came and naked I shall return. Blessed be the name of the Most High.
Say,
Right?
Thank you, Father.
I shouldn't have to be bound to anything except for what the Most High wants me to do.
Yes.
Okay? So the corruption is in the law being utilized to bind you to something other than freedom, other than truth, other than you being able to produce based on your talent, other than you being able to reach your maximum potential while you're on earth, utilizing your skills, abilities, and talents, your assignment that the Father gave you. Okay? That binding comes through written code and law, contracts, right? Things that you wouldn't even think, there's something that's called the social contract. And the idea behind that is that people are willing to give up some freedoms in order for safety and protection. And herein lies law enforcement capacity, right?
Slave patrol.
Right,
Keep the white
right.
people free. Keep them happy and keep those niggers away from me.
So I want you to know, like, even if it's stated or not, there's some written code because these particular entities worship the written code, right? Are not so much verbal agreements and oral tradition passed down unless it suits their media narrative, right? Like, oh, well, he told me this when I was 5 years old, right? Then oral tradition becomes apparent when you see they need it to suit their media narrative. But otherwise, they worship the written code. What do you see they even do to each other? It's like, okay, I'm going to sue you. Okay, no, I'm going to sue you back. You violated the contract. No, we had this terms and agreement and they're interpreted this way, right? Because that's the mechanism by which they confess their faith and belief, their values. The reason that works for the heathen society is because covenant requires relationship. Covenant requires, I got to get to know you, brother C. I got to get to know you, people that are watching, sisters and brothers. I need to have a relationship to form an agreement so that I can understand where we're headed with this agreement or where we disagree at, right? Covenant requires relationship. Code does not require a actual relationship. It just requires a written and signed binding. So I want you to understand that when you look at all of these things and all of the things that I'm teaching, this is what we're dealing with. Okay. But Selah, the Father, has a plan and a strategy for us to break every chain. And I don't say that in the simplest form. I mean that, right? Everything that binds us, right? And so there it is right there. And you can go over to the working group members, because I know that is what a lot of people are going to want to see. You see on the left, there's some other information. 5 independent experts appointed on the basis of equitable geographic representation. Members are elected for 3 years and can be renewed for one additional 3-year mandate. So let's go and see who they are, and then we'll come back to this page and look at their
Well, so before we go there, I'm going to ask a question. Sis, are you one of these 5 people?
No, they wouldn't have me. I'm trying to unbind people.
Okay.
They would not have me. I have asked about this. I will say, I'm just going to be very candid. Like, I questioned the last administration. I mean, our U.S. presidential administration, with regards to how they situated or positioned UN working group members and those that are on other councils, not just this particular working group, right? And I never got an answer to that.
So one of these people in this out of these 5 better either look like my grandmother or my grandfather. They better look like one of them two. And then on the binding part, I want to touch on that just real briefly. If you agree with how America's been running themselves and running us into the ground, then you will continue to pray and forgive this nation. If you pray for this nation, that means you're in agreement with what they're doing. And so you'll continue to pray for them. Okay, and I notice that by and large, our people have stopped that contract. And that has helped the further along the Father's will as far as the destruction of this Western construct. You stop praying for these people, you stop forgiving them. So I'm gonna leave that where it is, and
I would say take it a step further. When I'm talking about the binding through written code, and something comes up in your mind, because sometimes that happens, right? Where, like, you know what, I signed this contract and I don't feel too comfortable about it, right? Or you didn't read the fine print. Pray for a way out of that thing, right? Pray for a way out of that thing. We do it mistakenly by not really understanding all the things that are entailed in that codified binding, right? You didn't read the 30 pages of policy and terms and conditions for signing up for your HMO. You just wanted health care. Maybe some of you did, right? You didn't read the small print that maybe has said, you know what? And this is a funny word that they use. You can't sue us. You have to go to binding arbitration.
You just gave away a punchline. When you see that binding arbitration, that means that they got you bound with your hands tied behind your back with iron fetters. Go ahead, sis.
And most of the time, people are signing it as a part of their agreement to work, right? A binding arbitration clause that's inside of the hiring packet, and they don't even know until something happens. I'm telling you, this happens every day. Okay? Credit card companies, look at all the terms and conditions. How many of you guys read those emails when you are subscribed to some kind of service and you get that email that says we've updated our terms, right? Or do you just scroll past it? Like, I want you to pay attention, and even if it takes you a while to sift through the language, just read it and see what you're binding yourself to. And I pray that today, at least some of you will be able to renounce those bindings, because I had to do that in my own personal life, recognizing like I've been agreeing to things that are lifelong bindings, and not even really looking at them like that from the beginning when I first, signed the contracts or agreements. And then I realized after doing so much of this work and reading through laws, policy, and code and writing the same thing, that this is what it is.
Okay, so what you just said was you bound to your Netflix account for the rest of your life then, right? Because they got you back.
Listen, this is what they worship, right? And people be like, oh, they're deriving energy. Yes, from the code too.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's
right.
Yeah.
Like, how many people have read the terms and conditions of signing up for Netflix?
Oh,
You would be shocked about what's in there, especially about privacy and your data, right? Your identity. So they call it. So I just want to throw that out there because I like to give you all something to have to empower you, not to just talk. Got enough talkers on social media as it is. I want you guys to have something that you can utilize as a power tool. Because I remember Nehemiah saying, pick up a weapon and a tool. And I'm not here to preach to you, but hopefully the information that I do bring out helps you.
Okay, so I just clicked on the link.
There you go. Here's the members.
First member, strike one.
Spain. Isabel Mamadou.
Strike one. I'm not even gonna read it. She an Afro descendant. She okay, whatever. Let's look at the next one. Philippines, an African that's been transplanted. He's born in Turkey.
He's new though, so it's interesting. Like I said, he wasn't here the last time, or they didn't have a picture. But anyway, he's new.
Okay.
It might show you the.
I've seen his name before, though. I've seen him before. For some reason, he looks familiar. Okay, this is African American, right?
She is not new. She's from Trinidad, the Caribbean.
Oh, okay.
Southern Caribbean.
I was gonna say she looked like one of us, but okay. All skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Isn't Guyana where Jim Jones took?
That's where exactly where he was. That was a psyop, and that one Negro, and we did a show on that too. One Negro up there, Pastor Williams.
Right, but I want you to look in the middle of the paragraph. She co-chairs the CARICOM. Remember, we talked about the AU joining in with CARICOM. Digital Skills Task Force. Okay. And so a lot of these people are going to have multiple roles.
And they got degrees. She got look how many degrees. She's like one of those smart. She one of those uppity Negroes.
Hey, brother, they would say
he one of them uppity niggas. That's how they be saying.
Listen,
put up a white face.
Well, I wonder what.
Right now, God damn it.
Well, I wonder what happened with me. I'm a little bit too real because I got degrees too, but I don't act like this, right?
Yeah, but so, you're not. And we'll get into the next portion later because that's where the rubber really meets the road. I noticed they got you got Guyana and then Uganda. He's from Uganda too, so let's see her.
It said Philippines. He was from the Philippines. He represents the Philippines.
But his okay. So his father's Ugandan. Okay. And his mother's Filipino.
But you see some commonalities, right? And exactly. Those are by design.
That's exactly what I saw. So I'm like, okay. And then she cross-pollinated because look at where she went to school. That's in the Caribbean. So they are.
She is also a legal advisor and community leader among immigrant entities and associations in South Africa.
How the hell she go bounce from Curacao, and I'm sure it's South Africa, and she a Ugandan. And this is saying a lot, but I'm going to hold my tongue.
And also did some things in the United Kingdom. You know what, brother? See, I didn't tell you to laugh at the
No, I'm laughing at this one. Didn't we have a white girl that was pretending to be a sister and was getting all this clout?
Oh, you talking about Rachel Dolezal?
Oh, they tell me this ain't her sister.
You better stop messing with
Rachel. They related.
She was protecting her siblings.
This this lady related? Come on now. She said, okay, I'm gonna get one of them Afro wigs from one of them Asian spots that the Negroes in the United States don't boycott. I'm gonna throw that on. And then, I'm gonna take it a step further. I'm gonna put on some African looking garb. And I know them sisters be wearing them gaudy ass earrings, so I'm gonna do that too. She is she wrong.
And this is what it is, though. I needed to show this today, right? Because when we're reading through these documents,
I'm sorry, sis.
what you laughing at?
I'm laughing at her. No. This is a sham. This is funny to me. How the hell they got her? And then I didn't even want to even jump on this one. Cause she could probably pass for one of us. Possibly, right?
Well, maybe that's why they have her first, right?
Yeah, to kind of throw you, because in all reality, they would have did better to put her first because she looked like one of us.
Well, she lived in the U.S. for so long. She went to Howard.
Yes. So she.
Oh no, she went to Howard University for her. Mm-hmm.
Wow, but
And
this one right here.
Columbia.
This one right here is. She looked like Rachel Dolezal. I believe that's her name. And this one right here is hilarious. She got that old that Tina Turner wig.
Can you zoom in more? Because I don't know if the people can see. I know they see them, but maybe we need to zoom in a little bit more on the pictures. That way you guys. I want to know if any of you remember. There's 5 of them, right? So that's going to be that. If any of you seen them in your community. Did they come talk to you about your experience?
Oh, but hold up, though. Mm-hmm. Hold up. You just don't know if you read this far. Look at what she do. Her very background includes serving as a healer and storyteller.
You know what? I've seen it. I'm just going to let you find it. I've read this website several times. I wanted to show you all.
Oh shit! So what she be doing is she be doing hypnotrances on people to be like abracadabra swing, and all of a sudden you're in the trance.
Does she do it in the code?
Medusa.
Because look at a healer and a storyteller, and then all you see analyzing policies, strategies, recommendations, educational materials, evaluation of projects, right? And she has founded and led a number of civil society organizations and movements. So, that's a very highly detailed, codified thing that she has to do, right? And so just think about that.
But the language, though, this is what makes me laugh, because I noticed that a lot of people over the earth are using the Trendsetters vernacular, right? You hear a white MAGA person talk, and they'll slip up and be using our vernacular unbeknownst to them, because we are the culture of the whole earth. Don't nothing move without us. But this one right here, this is who says unapologetically? Who uses
we
that?
We do, but we don't say we unapologetically passionate.
Right.
We might say we a little zealous,
But see, language like that, this kind of hypnotic stuff will catch a sleeping Negro by surprise, and they'll be like,
of course.
Oh yeah, she's unapologetic. She's just like us. She don't give a damn. Right? Anyway.
Listen, by the time, a lot of people are captivated by titles. I got to say that, right? Mm-hmm. And so they'll see all these titles and they'll think, oh, they're important. When I attend meetings, and people in the community will tell you, I don't want to spend 10 or 15 minutes taking away from the substance of the meeting going over people's titles. Send that stuff before we meet, because it'll take all this time to go through people's titles just because they sound important and want to look important. I need to know what outcomes you're producing. What have you done that's effective? How have you changed conditions? And so those are things that, we got to start paying attention to. Why are they spending so much time on the introduction with titles?
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all these people, Spain don't represent African descent. Philippines don't represent African descent. Guyana, the Caribbean, okay, I'll slide you down. Uganda, okay, that represents Africa, but it don't represent the diaspora. So I'm gonna take that out of your hands. And why in the Sam Hell is Hungry is there? You can't make me understand that. But here's what's missing though. And I wouldn't even be mad if he had that dummy Al Sharpton or that mushmouth Benjamin Crump here, or someone from the ilk of the Boule. That wouldn't
They
make
was
me
working
mad.
on another working group. I can take you to that if you want to see it
Yeah,
along
no,
with
that's okay.
okay,
That's
all right.
okay. But hold on a second. Okay, but hold on a second. Okay, so now here's where the rubber meets the road. Now you got all these YouTube channels talking about reparations. They get on there and they be parroting stuff that they have no clue about. Meanwhile, you come here, you get taken to places that you never heard of. This they was getting this down since 2000. We now in 2020, about to be in 2027. You're gonna wake up next week and it's gonna be 2027, and you're not getting this information nowhere else. And not only that, but you're getting solutions here. Now the question becomes, how come the whole FBA, all the black people in the United States not getting this information? Why? And it
I'm not sure.
and for me, it's not about propping up your brother. See, because y'all know I don't give a damn about. First of all, I never wanted to be on YouTube. That's the first thing. Secondly, I don't give a damn about numbers. I only care about the information. Okay, we never asked nobody for a nickel the whole time we was on. We never asked nobody for nothing. So it's curious that our viewership has been so throttled that we only get a handful of people watching now. Y'all think that's by accident? So everybody who's watching, you should be telling somebody and telling somebody. But these large YouTube channels who bring this up but don't have a goddamn solution need to shut their mouths.
Right, because if they're not willing to put in the effort, the time and the research and the written opposition, then where are they leading the people? Where are they leading the people? What's the action? What's the call to action?
Same thing the Boule is doing. We done submitted a call to action to everybody. Hey, there's a form. Go to this website. There's a form. All you have to do is fill your name and then you submit it to the UN. Now, a lot of the speed up is because of the work that the sister that's on this show right now has sped up because of the work that she put in and because of the work she had us doing. Point blank, period. So I'm gonna get off of that, but y'all need to be ashamed of yourselves, the big YouTube channels, y'all doing shows about it, but y'all don't have a goddamn solution for nobody. You just running your mouth and you're taking tithes and offerings, whether you know it or not. When somebody donating to you, that's taking tithes and offerings. I don't care if you do education. I don't care if you're doing infotainment. I don't care if you're doing comic books. Somebody tithing and offering their time because they believe in what you're saying. Meanwhile, you're not pointing the people to where the information is. If you even said, hey, go to this website, I would be okay with that. I would be totally okay with that. Go to the website and then let's start understanding what these brothers and sisters on this channel is doing so that it can go to the whole diaspora and not just be contained within Salt of the Earth Productions.
Like, and I want you guys to understand, while we're looking at all of these working groups, what is it actually that they're doing, right? I talked about, binding through contracts and code, because all of this is governed by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is the foundational document of the UN, kind of like the Constitution is to the US. But the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is not a binding treaty or agreement, meaning that states, can either recognize the human rights within them or not. That's why it's called a declaration, right? They don't have to opt in. It's non-enforceable, right? It's like saying you have the right to something, but if the country you live in, because states in the UN sense means countries, if the country you live in decides to violate your human rights, who is there to enforce them? You guys have to ask the question when people are talking about these are violations of our human rights. Well, who's going to enforce it?
So what? Okay, so here's what you just said, and I'm a paraphrase. I'm gonna be short, and we're gonna get to the next part that you want to go to. The UN is just a sham. Then. Is that what we're saying, or are we
What
saying
power do
something?
they have? We saw the outcome of several countries taking the U.S. along with Israel to the Hague, which is the international court, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a verdict. Do we not remember that there was a verdict?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there were demands made with that verdict. Did they comply with them?
Mm-mm. Because there's nothing. Because in order for you to get someone to comply, you would either have to have economic or military forms to make them comply. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So
So
you would either make them comply via taxing their money, or you send in the Gestapo or the military and say, okay, you will comply, right?
right now, countries can adopt treaties and acts and different things and recognize them in their laws and agree to them verbally and even in writing, right? Assign on to the treaties, um, and say that they're going to adopt them. But just know that it is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which guides all of this human rights discourse and code, is only a common set of standards for nations. Now, if I were to have you guess, what year was the Universal Declaration of Human Rights adopted? What year would you guess, Brother C?
1948.
Exactly. You're right.
No, okay, so that you know why I said 1948? Because I believe that's when the Balfour Declaration. And mind you, me and you haven't talked about this,
Nope.
and I said 1948 because that's when the Balfour Declaration was mandated.
Tell what the people what the Balfour Declaration is, because some people may not know.
The Balfour Declaration is when white people got together and said, "Okay, we're gonna card it. We're gonna give this land to the few."
I'm sorry. You
Why
said the
you
white.
laughing?
You said the white people got together. Okay.
I mean, that's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, when I look at all these pictures, when Trump and them be taking these pictures, I just be shaking my head because you don't even have an Israelite in none of these pictures, and yet it's just a bunch of y'all getting together to completely fuck up everything. Pardon my French, but that's what they do. That's what white people do. They're warlike people, and all they do is kill, steal, and destroy. You mean to tell me black people are the antithesis of that? Now, I mean, black people, I'm talking about FBA. We the totally opposite of that. We're more peaceful, loving, and caring and kind to everybody. We've been accepting everybody. And now that we done said we delineating and we separating ourselves from y'all, everybody jumped out the window because that's the only thing that's holding you together.
Right. Because
sorry for me getting upset, but that's
no,
that's
but
me being
seriously, we
my
shouldn't be
bad.
bound to them anyway, right? Come out from among them, right?
Yes.
And so it's one of those things where, we have to look at not just the ways that we enter into interpersonal relationships with them, but how do we contractually bind ourselves to them, like I've been saying from the beginning. And
Now
so
y'all don't want to.
I'm gonna keep
Y'all don't
bringing
want
this
to.
information out.
Y'all don't want to take my word for it. So you should look up the Balfour Declaration and see who was responsible for that. Because there was a couple of declarations. There was one in 1917, but then the big one was 1948. So just Google it and go to Wikipedia. Wikipedia is, contrary to popular belief, Wikipedia is a good source of Bithia, correct. You're correct on that. Is a great source of information. So go ahead, sis. You can direct me on where I should go
Right.
next.
So when we think about the things, the instruments and mechanisms, the treaties, the resolutions, including the one on chattel slavery, think about it as being a declaration of goals, and principles. There is no opt-in mechanism, right? Countries are not, don't have to formally sign, ratify, or even pay attention to it if they don't want to, right? Um, you also see like a lot of customary law influence when I'm reading through the framework and the documents. You see how they say it's according to this proverb, this African proverb, or some type of tradition, like there's customary law included, right? And so I want you to think about it, all of these things that we are seeing happening and being talked about from the General Assembly of the UN. Who is going to enforce them? Where is the UN's enforcement mechanism at? If you were being tortured, can you contact the UN and tell them you're being tortured? And will they have someone, an enforcement agency or military, come out and get you to help you? Right?
I mean, this is a classic example right here. An Afro-Mexican activist was murdered I guess in Mexico, and this is the result of that. But I wonder if what's the repercussion of that? And the only reason why I clicked
They're
on it
calling for a prompt investigation, right?
mm-hmm.
It's like people are calling for a prompt investigation for Nolan Wells, right? We see how that's going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they're calling for a prompt investigation, with what happened. They're going to put out a codified statement and say, we're sad about this, condemn it. And then what's going to happen? Is
Yeah,
that
but I get sick of this condemning BS. I get sick of that because to me that's just a bunch of words. As my man said, smoke and mirrors. That's just smoke and mirrors. You say, okay, yeah, I condemn it. Okay, so what's going to be the result of that? I mean, putting up what my brother Mark B said. Okay, so
right?
how do we solve
So we look for outcomes. We look about when people are talking about all of these things, we look, what is the outcome? Is the condemnation or the declaration? Now, I know one group of people upon the earth where their declarations will produce outcomes, because I don't know who created that 7.1 earthquake in Japan, but you know what? I'm just saying.
Well, I don't know
The
who.
remnant, the remnant
I
has
don't.
the power of the tongue,
I don't
right?
know
Of
who
life
tore
and
up them
death.
sundown towns in where is that, Wisconsin or Minnesota, where they had one called Manassas that got tore the hell up. I
Ooh.
googled that town, and that town, they said that town, AI said that town is a probable sundown town.
So I wanted you see where there's the latest news right on the right hand side, but I wanted you to go down a little bit on this page so that I can show the people something. Okay, right here where it says calls for inputs. Okay, can you click on see all, please? All right, if you go down a little bit, these are the calls for inputs. These are all of them. So obviously you can see them organized by dates. There's currently a call for input that was from April 2026. As you can see, there was a call for input under special procedures, written submissions on principles, provisions, and pathways to reparatory justice for Africans and people of African descent. Now, this was part of the calls that went out prior to the resolution being voted on in March of this year. Okay. So if you continue to look through the submissions and the calls, and you can click on that, Brother C, it probably will show you who submitted, and maybe it will or will not. You'll see that the calls have went out on the website. Not going to deny that, right? Through the working group. But again, we continue to say we need to be a distinct and separate group of people with a voice and our day in court. Under the civil society rules, we can ask for that because we don't currently have representation. Our stories have not been heard. Our experiences have not been, understood. And the truth really is what we're saying is not hasn't come out. I'm trying to be careful of how I word it, right? So I know a lot of people are thinking, well, didn't you just say that this is a binding, group and codified all of this? Why would we go and formally oppose? Because this is the point of telling them who we are and who they are not, letting them know they do not have this kind of power over us, They will not be able to exercise any authority from their written instruments or mechanisms. Their time is up. So they have all of these things on the website of what is current, these articles about people that are being harmed, et cetera, et cetera. We filed opposition 8 days after the resolution was voted on the General Assembly floor. Do you see any of our opposition on here? I don't see it. It's supposed to be published in a way where it's public information and people can know that we're in opposition and what we are saying. I haven't seen anything posted to the website according to the protocols, nor have we received a response. Okay, so I just want you all to know that. Are we going to stop making our declarations? Absolutely not. We're going to continue to oppose what they're saying, what they're trying to do in an attempt to choose identities for us, create narratives for us, and steal from us. We're going to continue to oppose that, right? But I want you all to know that that information, according to the protocols and procedures, has not been posted and has not been responded to.
Here's the letter that you sent, the submission that you sent 8 days after, and this is the website. I'll drop it in the chat. But this is the submission. Can you see it, sis?
I can see it.
Okay, so I
And
know you.
Bithia Yasharel, you don't have to apologize for your age. We welcome all ages. Thank you, though. I appreciate the information that you're sharing.
Indeed, you only got me by a few years, sis. That's all. You only got me by a handful of years.
So listen, anybody can come on this website, see the submissions. If you want to enter one yourself, here's a template. No one's stopping you. You have absolute freedom to oppose things that are being said, and we know that they're not true, right? If you feel like they created a working group, right? And we had no representation, there's probably an email address and a mechanism for which you can oppose. But if we say nothing, they'll think that we agree.
Right. And that goes back to the binding part that I was speaking on earlier.
Absolutely.
If you can commit an error by omission or commission, meaning that if you omit it or act like you didn't know, then that's an error on your part. Or if you actively commit and know that you're doing it. So you can't, because this is on the interweb, nobody can plead that, hey, I didn't get the memo. Because once it's out there, that means it's out there for everybody. So if you happen to miss it, which most of our people are, because they sitting around listening to Who Shot John and listening to what rapper slept with this basketball player wife,
Oh
and
no.
then what wife was with this professional athlete or politician. They too busy worrying about that kind of stuff instead of worrying about stuff that's gonna make a difference for the kingdom. Anyway, let me get off that soapbox. We done already killed that already.
All
Okay,
right.
so do
Well,
you want to go to?
let's go to the framework, because we said that we were going to continue to look at the 18-point next steps framework that came out of that conference that they had in Accra to create the repertory justice next step commitments, right? We talked about, if you haven't seen our past episodes, you want to go back and look. We talked about the Congressional Black Caucus being there and present. We talked about the civil rights, so-called Negro leaders being there and present, right? And part of this conversation, we also talked about have none of them have addressed our concerns, heard from us, taken our evidence, allowed us the opportunity to testify or witness. And so we know that it's corrupt. Okay. So if we go down to the principles and values, shared principles and values was where we left off last time.
I'm wondering if I even got the right one.
Yeah, you have the right one. Oh,
Okay.
you mean the right document, the sized one, huh?
Yeah. Let
It's
me.
okay. We'll use this one. It's fine.
Okay.
We use
All right.
this one. We just need to find the shared principles and values section. So, all right. Now that I'm off of my UN
I don't know if I
complaint,
passed it or not.
I think that you did, because right now where you see the Roman numerals,
Mm-hmm.
that's another section.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I might have to try to see if I can find that other doc because this one is not
Oh
doing what.
yeah, it's not. It doesn't have the pages established
Okay.
correctly. Yeah.
Let
Okay.
me stop sharing. I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna go dig for it, and then when I find it, I'll
Okay.
let
If you want to show the image, then I can talk about that. That way we could just keep it
you.
rolling.
Actually, let me see. I think I have it. Let
Oh,
me.
okay.
Yeah, I think I have it on my hard drive. Again, it's me. You know
It's all
how I
good.
am.
Hey.
Sis, you talk about you 70. I be jiggling wires on myself all the time. So trust and believe that. So this is the right one, I believe. Yeah, this is the good one. Yeah, it's got everything we need. Yep. Okay, let me share my screen again. We get
Mm-hmm.
this. Us old heads could do stuff right sometimes now. We can fix our mistakes. It ain't you young heads ain't cornered the market on doing everything right or wrong. All right, so this is the correct one, right, sis?
If you go down in the pages, like, yep, this is the correct one. Just need you to zoom in, and then we're good.
Okay, let me get that
So if
set
you
up.
haven't taken the time to look at this document, or you haven't known about it until today, I want you to go and look it up. Brother C did put some links in the chat. We've put them in chats before. You're gonna want to take your time, because I can go through so much of it, and that's why we're on the 5th episode, right? Um,
Can you see my screen?
absolutely,
Okay, because somebody.
absolutely.
Okay, all right. So you want me to scroll down further?
Let me see. Are we on shared principles and values section
There we
B?
go.
There we go. Okay, so we left off here last time, and we're reading through the paragraphs and talking about the vague and ambiguous language, right? They have already submitted this as a formal framework to be recognized at the next General Assembly meeting of the UN, which happens in September. They've already submitted this to the UN. Okay, who is they? The African Union has. And the people that signed on and agreed to this reparatory justice framework or commitment. Okay, so if you go down to number 25, then I'll see if that's where we left off at. Yep, we're talking about what was included inside of the actual resolution, and you'll see that language again being shared in 25, but some things that really need to be answered if we're looking at the way that it's framed. We affirm a shared commitment to advancing reparatory justice as a comprehensive and multidimensional process grounded in relevant regional jurisprudences and the international law doctrine of satisfaction. I talked to you guys about the international law doctrine of satisfaction, and that is the mechanism that's going to be the most concerning, because it's more of formal apologies and things like that, right? Um, to me, the way that I've traced it, it allows the government to receive any type of reparations fund on behalf of people, and probably parse it out, cap it. There are questions that are not answered in this document, right? Of what exactly is being stated here. Grounded in relevant regional jurisprudence and the international law doctrine of satisfaction, full and formal apology, restitution. We talked about if someone's charged with a crime, they may receive a fine and some jail time. If there's a victim included in that crime, they're going to have to pay restitution. Okay. Compensation, rehabilitation, and the cessation of ongoing harm. Now, how are governments going to guarantee that they're going to stop the ongoing harm, racial discrimination? Okay. Like you saw that Israel, US, and Argentina, not only did they just abstain from voting, they did not abstain, they voted no. And they voted no, understanding that international laws are not enforceable in the way that state law is enforceable or local laws are enforceable, right? There's no enforcement mechanism per se as far as a law enforcement body or governing body that is going to go out and imprison a country charged with a crime against its people. Make sure that they receive consequences for their actions. Okay, so I want you to understand that. And even understanding that that is how the UN operates and resolutions are, and people have to opt in or volunteer treaty compacts, whatever they do, they still showed up to give public testimony and vote no. And why do you think that is? Because that served as their legal groundwork for them to then be able to establish precedent to continue to say, we don't owe the descendants of U.S. chattel slavery a thing. We didn't do anything wrong. Now they have put it in with pen and ink and paper, ink and paper, into the international law General Assembly meeting where the resolution was being heard that we didn't do anything wrong. Basically, essentially, the U.S.'s argument, we didn't do anything wrong because there was no law against chattel slavery at the time, and there was no international governing body or law that set precedent to tell us we did anything wrong. So owning slaves for all of those years was not wrong, and we don't owe a dime, is what they said. On paper. Okay. So then you have obviously number 26, where we talked about all of the people that are in agreement. And you can go ahead and go down to number 27.
Before we do that, there's no mention of FBA. There's no mention of African American. There's no mention of the United States here. Which one next now? 27.
Right? So they want to emphasize the centrality of dialogue, partnership, and mutual respect in advancing a common approach to implementing the reparatory justice agenda. Now, last time I checked, how can two walk together lest they be agreed? So who are you talking about? Partnership and mutual respect, right? A common approach to a very specific problem where a unique group of people suffered. So I want you to watch the language, right? We commit to work towards enhancing advocacy for a common position. So they want people to be agreeable. And we're not in agreement. And we state that out loud, and we also stated it on paper. We're not in agreement on reparations, which would incorporate therein a program. Now, look, they're telling you program of action, okay? Taking into consideration the revised CARICOM 10-point plan. Now, what is CARICOM's 10-point plan, and who did they talk to about it, right? For reparatory justice, we resolve to forge a common front and commit to ensure that the voices and perspectives of Africans and people of African descent shall be fully reflected in all such process. And they're liars, because the U.S. descendants of chattel slavery have not had their say, not in the working group. As you can see, the countries represented. I don't know if any of you guys got a survey. They sure do know how to find us when it's time to take the census, right? And the U.S. is in opposition to any forms of reparatory justice to descendants of chattel slavery. So how did they get through to the U.S. talk to them about us? So that's why I say there's caution, and I pause when we are labeled as the people of African descent. I need them to identify who they're talking about. And because that identification can't just be brushed with a broad sweeping paintbrush on a canvas, we are going to let them know who we are. It would times up on the lies and the deception and the manipulation and the games and the stealing, robbing, and killing of our identities and our futures. We're not building any more mercantile cities for Pharaoh. I got to say that. Because if you look at the programs and the things that are being requested, it's all about building, development, infrastructure, right? We affirm that reparatory justice is fundamentally a human rights and development imperative aimed at restoring the inherent dignity, rights, and development opportunities of Africans and people of African descent. Now, this is being declared from a conference and a meeting in Ghana, and I continue to ask the question, when have they paid reparations for what the Ashanti Kingdom did to our people? And other kingdoms that existed on that continent that were a part of the enslavement and capture and sell of our ancestors. Okay. A reenactment of slavery is not a formal apology. And in a sense, when we looked at it, it was a mockery. And I rebuke it and cast it back from which it came, never to return to us, right? And so I want you guys to understand where the framing and narrative is coming from and what the attempt is, because I will tell you, if they cared about pursuing justice, why did it take them so long? Brother C, you got an answer to that?
No, I think everything that you said was spot on. And the reason why they're taking so long is because we have to remember what the Father did to Pharaoh when Moses said, "Let my people go." And we've been asking that our people be let go. And so the same thing is happening right now. So as we go forward in time, one of my favorite sayings, as we go forward in time, we go backwards in time. So you'll see these same things repeat themselves. And so they know who we are. They know exactly what we're asking for. They've repaired, the United States has repaired everyone else except for us. And they can't say that it's too big because only thing they do is print money. So if it's too big, then why are you having a 1 point something trillion-dollar defense bill for 1 year just so that you can wage war all over the earth? And mind you, that 1 point whatever $1 trillion goes mostly to their pockets, which they don't tell you about. So that's my only comment to that, is that they're unwilling because the Father has hardened them heart. And it'll be made plain when we do receive what we're supposed to. It'll be made plain to the world who did it and why he did it.
Right. And they're, what are they going to die with their wealth? And I don't mean to be crass, right? But you see how many people died in Europe just from a heat wave. Okay.
Mhm.
So the wealth transference, like my sister said the last episode, is already taking place because you can't take it with you. Every single thing that, when I was born, there were precious gems, stones, gold, whatever, all of the things that we think of or have been taught as wealth, money, already circulating on the earth. I didn't bring none in. I brought a wealth of knowledge as in maybe I developed into that, and I won't be able to take any out, right? And so if you think about it, all of this is to, again, try to bind us during a time where we are awake. I'll call it that for lack of better words. We woke up, right? Know who we are, making the declaration, and then saying we're going to delineate because we know that we're not the same people. If you look at all of the biblical accounts, from Abraham fighting for Lot to even the way that David dealt with his son when he trespassed him, you will see that our people will fight for their children. And here we go again, asking the question, when has the African Union and their descendants, their ancestors, knowing that they claim we're part of them, fought for us? When have they done it? Well, obviously now, because it's advantageous, right? But it's still being done in a way that is corrupted. It's not being done in a way that is actually considering our plight. It's using our plight to gain the upper hand and the advantage. Because if it wasn't, they would want to hear from us, and there would be a commitment to also provide reparations from the compensation they receive from from the enslavement and captivity that they caused to allow people to come in and pick up a specific group of people, which was us. Okay, so I just want to be clear about the fact that what they're also claiming about colonial settlerism and European occupation being part of their history is not our history. Our ancestors weren't colonized on a foreign soil. We were indigenous to, for one, because we have proof that some of us were already here, or that we were kidnapped, transported, and trafficked to. That's trafficking, when you kidnap and transport somebody for labor to exploit their labor, right? And made property under specific U.S. codes, partis sequitur ventrum being one of those American statutes, trying to force that history into a colonial occupation framework erases what happened to us and the legal mechanisms by which happened to us and our claims. I want you guys to understand that. It doesn't strengthen our claim, right? So one way or another, they're going to hear us, whether it's by lurking on, our live feeds, or passing along our stated opposition on the record. Most likely gonna make sure they hear from us. Okay, you guys need to follow through with filling out your stated opposition. AU doesn't talk for us. We need to have our day to tell the truth about who we are and what happened to us, and that needs to be had in front of the world, just like they did the reparations signing and the hearing at the General Assembly. And that needs to be done by us, not the so-called Negro leaders. Because we saw who they called first before the reparations resolution was even signed. And we showed the videos. If you haven't seen that, go back. And it was Al Sharpton and Ben Crump. But when you hear what they were demanding, it wasn't, anything of substance that we would say after hundreds of years, here is what needs to be paid, compensated, restituted, reparated, right? We don't need any more programs. That's what happened with the civil rights era, where everybody gets to gain a benefit. Everybody can sign up and say, you know what, if you don't allow me to qualify for the program, whether that be housing or financial aid or farming, loans, whatever it may be, if you don't allow me to qualify, then I'm going to accuse the government of discrimination. It needs to be equal opportunity and rights for everyone if you allow it to be for Black folks. That's what they going to say if it's a program. I promise you. Every single time. And there is nothing stopping them from doing that, because the government can't say that they're, except for when they do it to us, obviously, right? Because there's a different set of rules, but they're not supposed to be able to turn people away, right? So I want you to see what's in the making here. And this framework, even though it's pages and pages and bullet points and bringing up this and bringing up that, it has no force, no authority, no enforcement capability, and no power, because justice and righteousness is on our side. Continue to go to section C. Brother C, do you have anything else you want to say?
No, we're going to scroll down to the next section. I think you covered it quite well. Thank you.
All right. Global Strategic Framework for Reparatory Justice. As you can see it in the title, this is section C, right? I want you to understand that you see from 29, we commit to the full and effective implementation of the resolution, that's the resolution on slavery and reparations, through a coherent and coordinated global framework on reparatory justice for Africans and people of African descent, structured around the following strategic pillars. Now, I want you to see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 pillars, except for when you get to X. Stop right there. Stop right there. Go back up a little bit. XII. It's written twice. No, brother, see, you told me and the people watching that they was in a rush, wasn't they?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
how you get a global framework that's supposed to be your legally binding commitment, and you didn't even catch that you wrote the this was a big mistake if you understand law, right?
Mm-hmm.
XII twice, and this is the confusion of why people are some are saying it's 18 pillars when it's actually 19. Okay,
Mm.
it's
Mm.
actually 19.
This is
So
confusing. This is
yeah,
confusing. And we just look at a layman will look at this as just being just a simple typo. This is what
mhm.
we're talking about. These two right here, they're labeled the same. So is it 18 or 19?
It's supposed to be legally when you have it. I mean, it's supposed to be 19, or
Right.
either this is you can't have two of the same numbers, right, under the number 29. So if they created a subsection, I mean, it could be like an alphabet, but in code you can't do this. Okay, so to me it shows me the lack of actual either vetting of the chat gpt. You know what, I ain't gonna get started.
I'm not even gonna
Yeah.
go there. I was thinking about that when we pulled up the document. I'm gonna leave it. I'm not even gonna touch that.
or
Leave that.
or the fact that it was done in a rush. Okay, I just want to let y'all know. So we can go back up to where 29 is and just read some of the pillars. I'm gonna read the titles. You guys, again, take your time and look at this document, go through it, and understand what they're trying to do. I'm helping you understand that. Acknowledgement of truth and apology. Okay, so we have a demand for the acknowledgement of the truth and an apology. And I'm wondering if the truth even exists in the people that are creating, collaborating around these frameworks, right? Because it's hypocrisy to say that something's owed when you've already received compensation for capturing or pointing out or holding slaves to sell. You already received compensation for that. It was a business transaction, right? So now you're asking for more for what? For suffering what? And then if you ask that question, well, what did you suffer? Well, they took away our children and enslaved them and dispersed them across the world. Well, why didn't you go look for them? Right? Is this the first time you are putting up a fight? Maybe you have other points of history where you can say you tried something. I don't know. Did did it ever help you find your children? I know if someone took my children, I would spend my life fighting until I got them. I wouldn't rest, right? But that's what we do for ours. Like just kidnap and torture and take and rape and brutalize and do all of these things to your children, and you're watching it because I'm sure everybody sees some of this stuff on the news. What's happening to Black Americans, and now all of a sudden you're owed reparations, right? So the acknowledgement of truth hasn't happened yet. That's our position because the truth is with us. We call upon states and non-state institutions yet to do so to issue acknowledgement of their role in trafficking of enslaved Africans and African descendants and the racialized chattel enslavement of Africans, and to offer full, formal, and unconditional apologies as a foundational step towards reconciliation. Who said we wanted to be reconciled? Did you say that, Brother C?
No.
Did the people in the chat said they wanted reconciliation? If you said you wanted to reconciliation, put a 1 in the chat. Okay, I'm not gonna wait, but we'll see. We'll check the chat. Trust building. You got to stop lying in order to have a trust building relationship, right? I mean, that would be wise. Who wants to enter into a trust bond with somebody that they cannot trust? And reparatory justice. So, in order to have true justice, you if you see Psalms 89, I believe 14, it says that his throne is built, the foundation of his throne are judgment, righteousness, and justice, right? Judgment, the habitation of thy throne, okay, is righteousness and justice, which we also can see in the KJV as judgment. Mercy and truth go before you as attendants. That's what it says. So when you typically see the word judgment or justice, you'll see the word righteousness. So how can you do what's just if you ain't even right? So anybody could answer that, right? And how do you trust someone that is continuing to lie, manipulate, and deceive? That would be foolish. We talked about the difference between foolishness and wisdom at the beginning. So I just want you to see this for what it is, and hope you got your spiritual armor on, because that's what it requires when you're going through this stuff, to really be aware of what it is that they're attempting to do. We affirm that apology should be unconditional and accompanied by guarantees of non-repetition. Now, here's one of the things that you have to really pay attention to, though, and this is what kind of made me think about the U.S.'s no vote. Israel, the U.S., and Argentina voted no on the resolution, and they did not agree with any of the language written in it. And one of the things written in it was the guarantee of non-repetition. So they basically said, we are not going to agree to not ever have chattel slaves again. We don't agree to that. First of all, we didn't do anything wrong. We don't see anything wrong with what we did. We don't owe any money to anybody, and especially not the Black Americans who are also the descendants of U.S. chattel slavery. And guess what? We are not going to agree to not repeat the same thing over again. I want you guys to understand that. Their no vote is also a disagreement with non-repetition. They do not agree to not repeat the same thing. Okay? Including the repeal of legal and ecclesiastical codes. Now, this is where you saw the Pope. Remember, the Pope was over there shaking hands and saying that they, gave the ecclesiastical apology, right? From the Holy See. In recognition of the intergenerational legacies and enduring consequences, we undertake to strengthen our collective efforts to ensure that concerned states, meaning countries, and non-state institutions yet to do so offer full and formal apologies. Now, here they go with law and justice. Okay. I'll read, a couple more, and then we're going to stop for today. And we'll be here again next week. We commit to strengthening legal and institutional pathways for reparatory justice. Well, what exactly does that mean? Because here in the U.S., we have two criminal justice systems, and we know it, right? One where the criminal is the one that actually gets justice, and the other one where the victim actually gets justice. And we know how that looks along the lines of black and white. So, what type of legal and institutional pathways is the commitment meant to strengthen? Because we don't want the house to stay up. We don't care if it burned down. I'm sorry. I'm just saying. That's how I feel about it. You want to strengthen what already exists? Or are we creating more? Because I don't see anything about the creation of liberatory pathways, right, for reparatory justice, including the utilization of international, regional, and domestic mechanisms. What? So you want to use the international, uh, and local and state and federal mechanisms, the same ones that said they didn't do anything wrong, the same Supreme Court justices that refuse to recognize chattel slavery reparations, the same circuit court judges that'll throw a reparations case out in court to advance accountability and redress. We also commit to supporting generational victims to access justice for historical wrongs. We urge the urgent reform of criminal justice systems to address the challenge of systemic racism against people of African descent. I want you to look at that word reform and just separate the re from the form. What is it saying? So reform those things, right? And this is why a lot of times people call for eradication and abolishment, because reform, what does that mean? If you look at it for the way that the word breaks down, you see what it means. Again, the code is a binding language written and then often read, and where it sounds like freedom, is actually binding. And so we're going to pause right there, and we'll come back with this next week. We don't have a lot more to go, but I've been wanting to get through this so that you guys can visually see and understand. So no one can say that they were without knowledge or understanding. What exactly is in these reparatory justice working groups? What are they asking when they go to the UN, right? What is supposed to come out of it? And how does that apply to us, the hundreds of years of descendants of U.S. chattel slavery who still haven't had our day in court? But thank the Most High that his throne, the habitation of his throne, is founded upon justice and righteousness. Truth and mercy go before him as attendants. And so we call on him to do a mighty thing on our behalves and to use us to do it, right? And so, Brother C, with that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to you. If anybody has any questions, you can put them in the chat. I don't want to, leave you confounded or confused. Hopefully, you have seen enough to be able to go to the websites and look through some of this information, share it with others, and make sure you fill out your stated opposition. Even if you only have one sentence to say, at least let it be recorded at this point in history that you are opposed to the lies that are being told here at the UN through Ghana and the AU and the CARICOM and every other, what is it, Psalm 82 nation.
Psalms 83.
Psalms 83, I'm sorry,
Psalms
yes.
83, the prayer, and the prayer over Psalms 83 is Psalms 109 and other prayers. But we can definitely go by what our ancestor David, how he prayed over his enemies.
Right. And so, we had that one more thing that we can close, with the picture. I wanted to talk about this. I think I'm going to bring this up every time. So until you guys can get the picture about the codified binding, right? And be able to see people for who they are on these contracts and these terms and conditions and agreements. So here we are. This image, I don't know if people can see the image. I can see
Hold
it.
on a second. Let me
Okay.
let me change something around. Hold on. There we go.
All right. So as you can see, there's an image with a sigil on it. So where it says Pinamwa, if you look on the right hand side, the 3 circles and the, curvy thing and the 2 lines and the 1, that's the sigil that is used for the Watcher Pinamwa. Okay. And I'm going to read this from 1 Enoch chapter 69 verses 8 through 11, R.H. Charles translation. Penamwa meaning the inside, Enochian watcher. The name of the fourth is Penamwa. He discovered to the children of men bitterness and sweetness, and pointed out to them every secret of their wisdom. He taught men to understand writing and the use of ink and paper. Therefore, numerous have been those who have gone astray from every period of the world, even to this day. For men were not born for this. Thus, with pen and with ink to confirm their faith. What does that mean? Their values, their beliefs, their wants, needs, desires, to contract, right? Since they were not created except that, like the angels, they might remain righteous and pure. So, what happened with ink and paper? It corrupted men, wombed men, right? Nor would death, which destroys everything, have affected them. But by this, their knowledge, they perish. And by this also, its power consumes them. So, like I said, when we're looking at this heathenistic entities, the code, the written language, even the fiat currency, the power of it consumes them. We see that. And they're having these constitutional debates and arguments, right? And when you look at the sigil and you look at the inkwell, the parchment paper, the stylus, writing instruments, you see a striking similarity, just making an observation. And that's why I said this was meant to not only corrupt people, um, but also to corrupt our relationships so that we would no longer depend on the covenant, so that we would turn to what is written by men, right? Not what was on stone tablets, but what was on ink and paper. So I want you to see the way that the Watchers created that corruption, because in order for there to be a covenant, there has to be a relationship. But anybody can read a contract and not have to be in a personal, intimate, close, trusting relationship with another person. So with that being said, we'll visit this again next week. Bless you all. I hope the Most High keeps you, causes his face to shine upon you and grants you peace, lifts up his countenance towards you. And I thank you for taking the time to even listen. Please share, and I'll give it back to you, Brother C.
I appreciate that, sis, and appreciate the information. Family, share this information with your family and friends. And this has been another Salt of the Earth Productions.